Welcome to the Franchising 360 Show, the only show that takes you inside the world of franchising, with hosts Tim Parmeter and Danielle Wright.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of the Franchising 360 Show, brought to you by FranCoach. I am Tim Parmeter, and alongside me, as always, is the lovely and talented Danielle Wright.
Oh, I'm talented now. Yay!
And lovely. You cover both of those, I cover bald. And so we are here on the Franchising 360 Show to essentially give you a 360-degree look at this amazing industry, help educate you on the world of franchising to see if it's for you, if so, how to find the best franchise to own, how to succeed once you are a franchise owner, as well as, geez, what if you have a great business out there and you want to turn it into a franchise? So all those things are covered today. We got a great guest coming on board here in a little bit, but Danielle.
Timothy.
We had a couple people reach out, FranCoach.net here not too long ago.
Really?
Yes, about one particular segment of the show that they said, oh my gosh, I tune in every single week for this segment. Do you know which segment it was?
The guest?
No, surprisingly not.
You got to say no to me. I bet you're so excited,
aren't
you?
You would think that would be the thing, and that was pretty high on the ranking. But number one, without question, is that they know every Friday they can tune in 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific here on Biz TV. And thanks to the Biz TV people for having us. For the Franchise Fun Fact with Danielle. That is everybody's favorite thing. What you got for us? It's a lot of pressure. What you got for us?
I guess. So in honor of our great guest that will be coming on shortly, every year our guest produces an annual guide to the top 500 franchises as of the end of 2025. How many data points are reviewed in order to be ranked in the issue?
175.
Close, but no.
How many?
150.
Isn't that amazing?
150 data points.
Yeah.
You want to know some other cool facts about this whole entrepreneur thing?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The year that it launched.
Oh, we're getting close to 50. So 1978.
1980.
Dang it.
Mm-hmm. And then what was the brand that was the first to be ranked number one? You will not get this one.
No,
I don't
will
care.
Because
Really?
We've had this guest
Really?
on the show before.
Have
I've had
you?
him on the podcast 4 years in a row. Oh, this is one that's going to genuinely bother me that I don't get it right or I don't remember. What is it?
You gotta give it. You were like,
Taco Bell.
Nope. Jana King was the first to be ranked number one.
Jana King. I love it. I love the unsexy service businesses.
Yep,
So
there you go.
We've got Jason Pfeiffer, who's the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine.
One
Goodness
of these days you'll say
gracious.
it correctly.
So Jason is here to talk about just everything with Entrepreneur and the things they do in franchising, plus the Franchising 500 edition, which is out now. So that is next here on the Franchising 360 Show. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 Show. Tim Parmeter alongside Danielle Wright. And we have a guest and a return guest, literally from season 1 to season 2. This is an amazing thing that is happening. We have Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. I can neither spell it nor say it, apparently. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me. It's always great to be here with you. And this is a true fun fact. When I became editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, for at least the first 3 months, the word entrepreneur was misspelled in my own email signature until a reader told me about it, and then I changed it. So you are not alone.
Typos do exist.
As I had this conversation with my 12-year-old with a school project recently. The little squiggly lines underneath does not mean good job. It means there's something to take a peek at there. So, so Jason, we've got a ton of things to talk about with regards to Entrepreneur, some of the amazing impact that Entrepreneur has been able to have on the franchising industry. Give us a quick little peek at Jason and kind of your evolution into working for Entrepreneur and your role with this magazine and everything that comes out.
Oh, sure. Well, why don't I go back even further? The reason why Entrepreneur has such a strong connection with the franchise space, I actually believe it was born out of the franchise industry originally, but there's a really interesting moment a number of decades ago where Entrepreneur, the brand, was actually on the brink of bankruptcy. And then one of its advertisers in the franchising space, a franchisor whose name was Peter Shea, had such a good experience advertising inside of Entrepreneur, finding franchisees through Entrepreneur, that he decided to round up a couple families, bought it, and then it turned it around. It was doing so well that they bought out the other families, and that family, the Shea family, still owns the magazine. So it is now run by Ryan Shea, Peter's son. So we are deep, deep, deep in the franchise space. And I will admit, when I showed up at Entrepreneur, which was now 10 years ago, I really did not know that much about franchising. And I wasn't sure if that was an interesting subject to me. Did I care about it? I was passionate about business in general, but I don't really know that much about franchising. But I have found franchising to be just really the sleeper hit for me in terms of getting to know entrepreneurs across the business spectrum. I absolutely love all the challenges that franchisors face in building these scalable systems. I love meeting the franchisees and seeing how their lives have been completely changed by pursuing this path. It's just such a delight and honor to get to know this space.
No, super cool. And I love that, like, we're going to talk a lot about the different categories and obviously the franchisors, but you guys do a great job of spotlighting the franchisees too, which is really what it's all about. And
Yeah.
anything and again, year over year, and again, there is the big Franchise 500 edition of the magazine that is out now. That if you don't have it, go check it out. And why aren't you already subscribing to this? But that's another story. But some of the things that you see year over year and some of the changes, what are some of those kind of industries or categories that are really growing as we're rolling into 2026?
Yeah, well, I'll detail four of them for you together today, but let me just start high level, which is to say that I think one of the most interesting things about this annual review we do of the franchise industry is to see how much the franchise industry is a real encapsulation of what's happening in the market in general. So big trends in consumer interest, big shifts in the marketplace get reflected in franchising in this interesting way because, of course, franchisors and franchisees see opportunities and start moving into them. So the Franchise 500 issue, which is out now, that is our annual ranking of the top 500 franchises. You can find it on stands wherever, or you can go to entrepreneur.com/franchise 500. But that is our definitive ranking of the 500. But then if you look closely at that, you'll see shifts in where energy is, where lots of growth is coming from. And then you can also start to project out what categories are going to be seeing sustained growth. So we ran a piece in which we identified four. That's not to say these are the only four growth areas in franchising, but four that we thought were really interesting to dig into. And so those were, we have pet services, pet care. We have Asian cuisine. We have personal care, like personal fitness, personal wellness, personal care. And then we have junk removal, which I thought was really interesting. All four we're seeing surges in, and we project to see a lot more growth in 2026.
So I'm shocked at the junk removal. So you and I don't know each other well, but I represented a junk brand early on in my franchise sales career, and it was great at that time, but it was also bolted on to another business model. Like, do you have any insights to why all of a sudden there's this big thing for junk removal?
Yeah, so, junk removal is actually has a category near to my heart because Brian Scudamore from 1-800-GOT-JUNK is a good friend. But the reason we started to call around and ask why we're seeing this growth in junk removal. And so what I mean by that is we're seeing more franchises enter the space, and then we're seeing more growth among that franchise category. And so what is happening? Well, people brought up a couple of really interesting points. So number one is the explosion of e-commerce. So people are just simply buying more cheap junk, and they're accumulating that junk. And so at times people need to get rid of a lot of it. And that includes and extends to, very importantly, furniture. So you've got millennials and you've got Gen Z who are less likely to be buying homes right now. They're moving around a lot, and so they're accruing a lot of cheap IKEA style furniture. no shade on IKEA, I own plenty of it, but it's the kind of stuff that you don't feel that bad about wearing down and eventually tossing out. So people are accumulating e-commerce junk, and then they're also starting to think of their furniture as more disposable in the past. And that also fits into, like I said, there's a lot of just temporary living norms that are happening. So I'm going to be living here for a little bit, and then I'm going to move over there, and you just start to get rid of stuff. And as a result of that, we're seeing new franchises enter into the space, but we're also seeing existing franchises start to expand into junk. So, for example, like College Hunks, which used to just be a moving company, is now also expanding into the junk removal. So that's a lot of junk and a lot of junk to be removed.
Awesome.
Yeah, and way to throw out the one that she used to represent, right? So like of all the different kind of things, food related, so specific to Asian food. What have you seen that's kind of triggering that?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So there are a number of things that are happening there. Number one, you've got a broader exposure and acceptance among the American palate to Asian cuisine. So you're getting more authentic Asian food and Asian ingredients coming into America. Makes it easier to then be systematizing and growing systems that are really leaning in on Asian food. And then also really importantly is just this is an underdeveloped franchise category. So there's still a lot of growth opportunity in Asian food. I live in New York City, so this is going to be the starting point for a lot of international cuisines. And so for a long time, I've been able to just walk down the street and find amazing Thai food, amazing Korean barbecue. But for the rest of the country, that often doesn't get there until there are companies that have really systematized that and can start to roll it out in a franchise environment. And so you're seeing more of that happening in Asian food, I think just because it was so underdeveloped for a long time. And now there's energy, there's excitement, there's increased American palate interest in it, and the ingredients are available. And so you're seeing franchisees run into that space.
And it does tend to be a little bit healthier than, we all like the good old, big old fat cheeseburger once in a while, but that's not super good for us, which kind of, I'm sure, goes into that personal care space. And I want to come back, Jason.
Although actually, although I very much appreciate the transition that you're going for there, let me just undercut it for a second to just say, like, it's not just, you're right about the ingredients, but also very important is flavor. I mean, an American consumer is driven by flavor, and Asian foods are full of great flavors that are often very, very welcome to an American palate, but also can be distinct and new. And, there's also good overlap. So you get a lot of like Korean fried chicken. Americans love fried chicken. So now you've got a good spin on, something that Americans are already familiar with, but now with a little bit of a different flavor profile.
Love it. And so during this commercial break, feel free to DoorDash your favorite Asian cuisine to you. But when we come back with Jason Pfeiffer on the Franchising 360 show, we're going to talk more about entrepreneurs' impact in the industry right after this. Hey, we are back on the Franchising 360 show. Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright. And joining us is, again, Jason Pfeiffer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. And Jason, you and I, this is the second year in a row you've joined us on the Franchising 360 show. We've done 4 straight years on our Franchising 101 podcast talking about this. So lots of changes. And D, you had a great kind of thing on your mind for Jason, who's been at this for 10 years now.
Yeah, as you said, being in this franchise 500 and franchise industry and working with Entrepreneur, what kind of big surprises have you come across every time this list gets published, or as you're doing the research into franchising, what might be 1 or 2 of the top big surprises in your career?
Yeah, well, I'll share 2 of them. So number 1 is, Tim, to your point, we've been talking for so many years. How are you not sick of me? Jeez. But you said the word change, and I just want to double down on that because as I've gotten to know the franchise space so well, I've also been invited to give keynote talks to a lot of franchise conventions. Every franchise hosts a convention where they bring people together. And what's been so interesting is the thing that I hear from all of them, no matter the brand, if it's large or if it's small, which is a tension point, which is that Franchisors are always trying to roll out new changes, right? They're trying to be reactive to the market. They're trying to update things, run new programs and new deals. And franchisees, of course, who are independent business owners, they often get happy with the way in which it's been running, and they get comfortable with their flow, and they don't always want to hear about these changes from the franchisor. And so there's always this tension between the franchisor and the franchisee over change and how the brand evolves. And I find that to just be a fascinating subject. Change is so critical and important for anybody in business to be thinking about. But of course, you have to do it right. And to understand from the different perspectives of franchisees and franchisors what that change feels like and how to actually get there has been really fun and fascinating. So anyone who gets into franchising knows exactly what I'm talking about here. And then the thing that I've found that's really interesting about individual franchisees and their relationship to the Franchise 500 is I have people who will come up to me. I once spoke at a Dream Vacations franchisee convention on a cruise ship, of course, and somebody came up to me and they showed me this issue from Entrepreneur Magazine 15 years earlier or something, and they showed me the list, that Franchise 500 list, and where they had circled Dream Vacations. They had found it in that list, and they went and they pursued what turns out to be their dream career. And I love discovering that people find this unexpected journey in something as simple as a list, and that just never gets old.
That's so awesome. That's what you're in franchising for, right there.
And it's the ability to make a difference for so many people. And you talk about sometimes that tension between the franchisor, franchisee, especially if there's that dreaded word change, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the balance of, you don't want to be too far behind on anything as you need to evolve, but you also have to be able to have really that trust with back and forth with the franchisor and franchisee to make that happen. And I always like some of the stories you have from both sides to really illustrate that, and not just the Franchise 500 edition, but there's something almost always going on the Entrepreneur Magazine from a franchise standpoint, and really sharing those individual stories, which is so cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's true. We are always talking to franchisees and franchisors because we want to know not just what's happening in the industry, but we want to really convey the experience of it. Because if you're going to be a franchisee, then you need to understand what you're getting into, and you want to understand what, what's very interesting. We just ran a survey of franchisees, and we asked them about what they're looking for and what their expectations are. And one of the first questions that really jumped out to me was whether you're in this for the money or for the lifestyle, right? Are you pursuing franchising because you hope it makes you a ton of money, or because you're looking for some kind of lifestyle shift? You want to separate yourself from the old shackles of corporate life, and you want to take more control. And I can't remember the exact number, but it was very lopsided. Maybe let's say 80% towards lifestyle. People were really just attracted to the idea of ownership and control more than specific dollar amounts.
Yeah, for our team with FranCoach, when we talk to people, even just thinking about this, control is always the word. Just again, and it's control over their lifestyle. And the money tends to follow the fit with that, right? So, one of the other things that we've talked about over the years, and I know is always in the magazine, is there's kind of some industries that come and go, or you're going to find an industry and then there's a new subcategory. Right. And I know we're not going to get in the weeds on all of these, but maybe just throw out a couple things that you're seeing now that are maybe a little new, or some of those different subcategories that have popped up.
Absolutely. So categories and subcategories to me are actually my favorite thing about the Franchise 500. It sounds so wonky and dorky, but what you're really tracking is how is the economy, how is commerce shifting and changing? So if you go back to the Franchise 500 from 3 decades ago or something, you might find video rental stores, movie rental stores to be a big category, and tanning salons, and those are not showing up as much anymore. So here is a list of new categories that we had to create, or subcategories. So there is now enough franchises who are serving a very specific niche that we needed to create their own subcategory in the list. And this is new to 2026, and this tells you a lot about where things are shifting and where people see opportunity. I'm just going to rattle off a whole bunch of them. Ready? Here we go. Networking groups, sign maintenance and installation, hormone replacement therapy, mobility products and services, urgent primary care clinics, indoor air quality services, skincare, recreational tours, and virtual reality. So, it's interesting because the virtual reality obviously feels very modern, but, some of this stuff is not necessarily a kind of new creation, but there's a reason why recreational tours, for example, or networking groups are popping now. It's because of something that is shifting in the way that consumers are desiring a change in their life, a growth, it's solving some kind of problem for them, and franchises are recognizing an opportunity in that, and they're seeing enough success that others are moving in the space too, and now we've got to create a subcategory for it. You watch that kind of stuff and you start to see where opportunity really is.
It's been cool to see that over even just our conversation over the last few years, the things that have popped up, and we do this for a living for 25 years combined, and it's still those categories. Like, I'm out of the corner of my eye, I'm seeing her face go, what, really? Like on a couple of those, it's just it's crazy to see where that growth comes in, and not always virtual reality. Okay, that certainly wasn't going to be around when Blockbuster was here, right? But some of the sign installation,
sign maintenance and installation. Yeah,
that's crazy.
I haven't like looked specifically into that one yet, so I don't know. But I think it's fun to hypothesize. I mean, look, one of the things that could have happened here is that there were a franchise or two that was that kind of leaned into certain kinds of maybe customized signs. Lawn signs is like an interesting niche, and enough consumers might have seen that, and it might have popped on social media, right? You have to start thinking, does social media start to drive things like once there's photos of buildings with great signage, then everybody realizes that they need better signage, and so suddenly there's now an opportunity to build business around signage, right? It's like you never know exactly what's going to be driving it, but I'd say that in an increasingly visually driven world, great signage and making sure that your signage is also maintained properly is really important. And I wouldn't be surprised if you draw a line from Instagram to sign maintenance and installation franchises.
Yeah, no. And I think just things are becoming more and more specialized, right? Like, I'm going to create it, it's going to be awesome, but you're going to go be the one that's going to install it and take care. I don't want to install and take care of it. I just want to be the creative and make it, whereas you can do that. So,
Yeah. And also let's also be mindful of some of the economics of franchising can drive this stuff. So for example, you've got a lot of private equity backed roll-up companies that are looking for niche services to acquire. And because that exists, you have a lot of entrepreneurs who are building niche service franchises because they know that there are these roll-up companies looking for it. So that's also going to drive some innovation in these spaces. Yeah,
absolutely. So Jason, so cool for you to take time. I know you're super busy and come on and talk to us again. The entrepreneur, just entrepreneur.com in general, be sure you spell check that before you do it, E before the U. And then the Franchise 500 magazine is out. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on and visiting with us tonight.
Oh, hey guys, it's such a pleasure as always. Thanks for having me back again. And pick up that Franchise 500 issue wherever you get magazines.
Will do. And we'll see you next year, Jason.
I didn't want to assume, but I would love to be.
Awesome. So that's Jason Pfeiffer here on the Franchising 360 show. Thanks again for watching the Franchising 360 show, brought to you by FranCoach. Danielle and I hope these episodes continue to educate you on the franchise industry. In between our episodes, if you would like to learn more about franchising and the ways in which FranCoach can help, there are a few places you should check out. First, be sure to listen to the award-winning Franchising 101 podcast. You can find this on Spotify or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Next, check out the FranCoach YouTube channel, FranCoach for You. You can catch past episodes of the Franchising 360 show, plus tons of other content. If you like to read, we encourage you to check out the book, Becoming a Franchise Owner. And finally, when you are ready to take that first personalized step and explore franchise industry further, please reach out to our amazing team at FranCoach. There is never any fee for our service, so let us help you create your better tomorrow. Until next week, for Danielle Wright, I'm Tim Parmeter. Thanks for tuning in to the Franchising 360 show.